Greetings. I thought I'd take this time to introduce myself and talk a little bit about why I'm an atheist. And more specifically, talk about why I'm not a Christian. If we look at the Christian God, he's described as being very powerful, very knowledgeable. He created the universe, he created ourselves, and he wishes us to worship him in some manner. If we don't worship him, then we go to hell. If we do worship him and subjugate ourselves to him, then we get to go to heaven. Now, I think we can, taking a somewhat scientific approach, and knowing these properties, we can make certain predictions about how we would expect to see the world to operate. And just through some simple observations and maybe some light research, we can test the idea of this personal God. So the first prediction that I would make is that if this God existed, he was interested in us all knowing him and all of us worshiping him in some specific manner, then it would be abundantly clear that this was the case. There would be no question. Now, if we look around the world, we'll see that there are religions that in every single corner of the globe. Now, at first, this may seem like, yes, there is probably some God who exists. But if we look at those religions a little closer, we'll find that they have a huge variation in the type of God that they believe in, his complexity, and some you might even be considered as atheistic. They make no assumptions about the existence of God. They make no assumptions about what his motives are. So, and they have their rites and rituals vary with every single community, even here in the United States. So it would seem that then there is no universal knowledge of God, there's no universal knowledge of worshiping God, and that would then seem to disprove either God's desire for us to worship him, or perhaps that he is all-powerful and all-knowing. Well, if we remove the all-powerful and all-knowing, then he's no longer God. So it must be that he doesn't desire us to worship him or know him. Now, some of you may object and say, perhaps God only wants certain people to worship him and know him. And I'll address that shortly. But let's look at at a scenario, a thought experiment. Imagine you're walking in the woods, far from civilization, and you're all by yourself. You fall down, you hit your head, and you lose your memory. You have no knowledge of history, of literature, you have no personal history. Basically, you have no knowledge of religion whatsoever. What in the natural world would tell you that God exists and how specifically he wants you to worship him? Now, let's take a little twist on this scenario. Imagine that you are a Christian, you're walking, you fall down, you hit your head, you wake up, and you have no memory of your religion. And you find that you're mortally wounded. You are going to expire in a few hours, but you have no memory of Christ, God, the Bible, whatnot. Would you go to heaven, or would you go to hell? I'd be interested to hear your comments below. Now, even another twist on this scenario, imagine you just recently sinned, and you intended to repent, but you were still angry for whatever reason. And this is a sin that would damn you to hell, but if you repented, you would be able to go to heaven. You fall down, hit your head, mortally wounded, have no knowledge of your sin, or of God, or of salvation. Would you go to heaven, or hell? Interesting question. I don't know. I'd be curious again to see what you have to say about that. So, back on topic, if we look at what my possible error in logic is, that maybe God is not interested in saving everyone, there would be one question I would raise. God is supposed to be good, fair, and just. Can a good, fair, and just God only allow a select group of people the opportunity into heaven, and everybody else is pretty much ensured to going to hell? I don't think that a good, fair, just God can act in such a manner. So therefore, that scenario is not valid. So this really pretty much leaves us with a God who may exist, but he doesn't care if you know him, he doesn't care how you worship him, then at that point, does it even matter that you acknowledge God at all? Because he is almost exactly as if we had no God at all. And there's no point then to be believing in sort of mythical creatures or mythical deities, because there'd be pretty much an infinite number of them that we could potentially be believing in. So again, I'd like to hear your comments and your replies about the scenarios that I had outlined. Again, this is just an outline, a basic outline of some of my beliefs. I'm going to go into more detail in future videos, and please feel free to seek the truth. Follow it wherever it goes. And don't be afraid that it may take you in directions you hadn't originally intended it to go. Thank you.